Hi guys, my name is Petya and I read books and write about them on the internet. This is my first video for YouTube, encouraged by my friend Charlie Brooks. So if it's bad, you just blame Charlie for it. Okay, here I am to talk to you about my notebook ecosystem, which is my most favorite subject in the whole entire world. And as I get ready to show you a bunch of things, which I know is a lot, I will preface this by saying I'm a notebook person. I think you either have this gene or you don't. If you don't have it, you're probably not watching this video. And if you do have it, you just know. It's just notebooks are amazing. Thinking on paper just feels different than thinking on a screen. So we're not making any excuses about it. It is an expensive hobby and we take that for granted. We do what we can to make more money so we can buy more notebooks. That's that. So, with that being said, I wanted to show you my two sets of notebooks. So, the first set of notebooks that I have is the stuff that I use on a daily basis. And it's not super exciting, but I'll show that to you. And then my second set of notebooks is my books and reading related stash. So that will go next. So on a daily basis, I use three notebooks. I use my Lockturn planner, and this is kind of like a weekly layout. This is where I just try to kind of stay organized for my job and also for my various personal things that I have going on, including my Substack. So I'll show you just kind of like a typical spread. Um, this is what this looks like. It has the days of the week on one side and then just has like a notes page on the other side. So what I typically do is I draw a line in the middle, and on one side I have my work to-do list, and then on the other side I have my personal to-do list. And then what I do on Sundays, I just write up my list and kind of assign tasks to the day within which I think I will be completing them. Obviously, in many ways, this is aspirational, but for the most part, especially my work tasks, do get scheduled in advance, and that works well for me. So that's that. Um, the second book that I use on a daily basis, I'm trying to figure out where to put those. Okay, here we go, is my journal. And this is a Moleskine. No, this is a, both of these are actually Lockturn 1917 notebooks. Um, which, sidebar, I think in terms of quality of the paper and the covers, I think they're basically identical to the Moleskine notebooks. But what I like about these is that they have page numbers. That's the only difference, like real difference that I see between the two. And I like having the page numbers not because I use them every time or, have like any specific kind of system, but it's just nice to know that the page number is there. So if I do end up drawing some kind of a table of content or an index or whatever, I can always reference it if needed. This is, like I said, just a daily journal where I just kind of write freestyle, mostly just processing whatever it is that I'm going through. In the past, I have done morning pages, and I went through maybe like 4 or 5 years of kind of religiously doing morning pages, and the practice is fantastic. I am not currently doing that. um I just think that you have to stay flexible with yourself and just do whatever kind of your soul needs at the moment. So I am not doing morning pages every day, but I do journal most pretty much every day. Okay. And the third notebook that I use every day is this one, which is kind of my work notebook. There's nothing specific about it. I write notes in it about my, like, I take notes during meetings, um, any kind of project planning thing that I'm doing. I do in this notebook. I write grocery lists in it. It's really just kind of like the the scratch pad that I use, and I am not particular about what that notebook is because I don't archive those. I just throw them out as soon as I'm finished with them. The only thing that is kind of like, I think, an interesting practice that I have developed over time is that I only write on the right side of the page so that I can have the back of the previous page available for notes and comments and things like that that I write to myself at some point, maybe sometimes. Okay, so these are my 3 daily notebooks. The fun ones are my books. And this is a system that I have developed kind of recently, and as everybody um, discovered and became obsessed with the Paper Republic system. But it really works for me in this particular case. Okay, so this is the one that I have. I just undid the elastic. Um, it's the A5 XL Traveler. Oh my gosh, I'm getting so confused by this. I'll just make sure I link to the specific one that I have, but it's the A5-ish regular XL one that they have. And I have 2, you can see it here. I have 2 of the thinner inserts and 1 of the fuller ones. And I'll tell you how I use each one of these 3. So I love keeping a paper list of the books that I finished reading. Um, I started doing this last year. This is my second year doing it, and it's just like so pretty. This is just January and February. It's just a simple list of the books that I read in the order that I read them. I write the title and the author. That's it. And it is very satisfying, especially as you kind of look through your list at the end of the year. You're changing handwriting, the different pens that you use. It is oddly, I don't know, it just really kind of triggers memories for me, at least. And I love keeping track of what I've read this way. I tried in the past using Goodreads. Last year, I tried using Storygraph. It did not work for me. There was just nothing special about it. I did Storygraph because I was curious about the statistics that they give you at the end of the year, and that told me nothing that I didn't already know about myself. So that's my first notebook. So the first one is just keeping a list of the books that I read. I am a very moody reader, so I'm um, not the kind of person who will write out like a reading plan for the year and then just like go down the list. I admire people like that. I just don't have that kind of discipline. And what I read next is very much inspired by what I've read last and how that made me feel, and if I wanted more of that or less of that, or how what associations my brain developed based on the book that I just completed. However, since I started writing my Substack, I have become part of an online conversation around books and literature that has really changed in many ways how I read and what I want to read. And a big part of that has also included learning um, better and more interesting ways to kind of create reading projects for myself so that I can deepen my reading. Like I used to just very much be the kind of person who's like starts a book, finishes the book next as soon as possible. And now I just really kind of take the time to be thoughtful about what enters my brain and what comes of it. So, um, my second notebook, so the second little one, is sort of like a TBR ish um, journal. And, here on these pages, I have actually done 2 author lists. For example, earlier this year, I read The Anthropologist, but Aishigul Savage. I love that book. And I just kind of made it a goal to read all of her works. I'm working myself through her whole bibliography, and I just wrote the books in my notebook, and I'm marking them as I go. When I finish them, I put them in my finished books notebook as well. I also have recently become completely obsessed with Deborah Levy's work, and I have a fiction nonfiction list of books that I'm trying to read by her as well. Also on my Substack, um, every Friday we have what we call Friday book chat, and I just ask people to share, what is the last book you read? What are you reading currently? What do you plan to read next? And through that, I have just started getting like a lot of really good ideas. Certain books keep coming up. Um, I've gotten to know some of the readers and I just really trust their taste. So um, for the first time, I'm actually like noting down the books that come up through recommendations there as well and anything else. So this is a new practice for me, but I think I'm gonna stick with it. I'm really enjoying it. And the final book here, um, this is one of the thicker inserts, and I'm trying to find a good way to show you guys. Like next time I'm doing a video, I'll probably be a little bit better at this. But the last book is my um, book journal, and the way that this works is, I mean, just free writing pages after I finish the book for the most part. Um, I have sort of started to describe this as morning pages based on my reading. I'm really just trying to kind of, when I finish the book, instead of, as I was saying, instead of moving on to the next one, I just um, take the time to write at least 3 pages on it. And sometimes, like, I just start by writing a little bit of summary of the plot of the book, so that then I can reference it when I'm writing my monthly roundup for my Substack, or just kind of note things that I really appreciated or enjoyed about the book that will stay with me. A lot, like, one of my favorite prompts that I have for myself is like, what is the one thing that will stay with you from this particular book? And that is just kind of a liberating way to journal about it, because I'm not a literary critic. I'm just doing this for fun. I don't want to intimidate myself by a blank page and the pressure to be profound. I just want to say, give space to myself, to just kind of note down some thoughts. And the best thing, I don't know, like the best thing, one thing about my brain, maybe the best thing about my brain, is that I love to collect ideas from the books that I read. And those are things that I just kind of do future research on or future reading on or whatever. So here I have my pages from August Blue by Deborah Levy, and then I have on the side, I don't know if you can see it, I made a little list of references that just came up in the book that inspired me. Isadora Duncan, In Search of Lost Time by Proust, Walt Whitman poetry, and then Agnes Varda, I think, is the name of the French filmmaker that is referenced in the book. So these are just things that I'm kind of calling out that came up in the book that I want to somehow document, preserve. Okay, enough about that. So this is like the Paper Republic one, and I have them together just because they belong together. The last book related notebook that I want to show you is my Commonplace journal. And this is a little Lockturn notebook that I have with some stickers in it. And this is where I keep quotes from my most favorite books. So for the longest time, I wanted to do one of these, but I just could not keep up with it. I didn't want to create like another massive project for myself. But then I just kind of set some rules and boundaries to de-intimidate myself from doing this. So I just tell myself, like, you don't have to do this every day. You don't have to do this about every book. Even if you really love a book, you don't have to annotate it. I mean, who cares? This is just my attempt to really preserve what stirred my soul. I know it sounds so weird, but you know, all of these pages, add up, and sometimes we forget even the things that we really love. So just started writing it down, just quotes. And the way that I typically do this is, when I finish a book, um, I will set it aside. Maybe I'll journal about it right away as soon as I finish. But then, that weekend, whatever the next weekend is, after I finish the book, I will take a little bit of time and just transfer some quotes. Sometimes it's just like 5 pages of quotes, and other times it's just 2 pages or just like something little. It doesn't matter. It's just for myself. I really, uh, hope it's not morbid to say this, but I really think about, this little notebook is the one that I want to preserve for my kid. She's almost 8 and she's a reader as well. And I kind of think about, times when I'm not going to be around, but I can give her this and she will get a reading list out of it and also a sense for what her mom was really into at the time. One thing that I do want to show you is that I have an index for my Commonplace, which makes this notebook really usable. Um, I will index the author of the book, and then I just track by theme. So things I have here on my first page: art, aging, belonging, being seen, confidence, capitalism, Chopin, Claire Louise Bennett. You get the idea, right? So that's that. So there they are, my 2 stacks, my daily ones that are super practical and kind of boring, but work for me, and my book notebooks. I hope this was interesting in some way, and tell me about yours.